And so today is currently the 15th of July, and if you don't know why that is a special day, well, it's the birthday for our favorite main character, that being ICHIGO KUROSAKI. And we did this a few years ago, and I thought it'd be another good idea to once more celebrate Ichigo's birthday by doing a top 15 Ichigo characters in the game. Having said that though, the timing of these are always unfortunate. Since we are celebrating the 8th anniversary in less than 8 days time, we're most likely going to get another new and very powerful Ichigo character. And that character, wherever it may end up being, will probably end up being the new best Ichigo on this list, so do keep that in mind. If you're watching after the 8th anniversary, did Ichigo make the cut? Is he now the new #1 character? I'm not too sure, but I'm looking forward to it either way. With that said though, let's start off the list ranking the top 15 Ichigos in the game.
この炎からは逃げられねえ。永遠に眠れ。行こうぜ。
Starting our list with number 15, we have the Desert Society version of Ichigo. In his case, he's just a character lost to time, as he is a normal attack damage character that's meant to play the role as a support character. Since his SA2 can provide your entire team with a team heal, he makes for a safe to play character while also being a good team supporter. Having said that though, a character like this, a supporting NADS character, really doesn't get much usage in this game unless they are your favorite character. In his case, the most places he will be currently used in nowadays is in Guild Quest and also Senkamon, where there are just infinitely better options. He's a cool character, cool design, and is good enough to be used, but nothing super amazing. In 14th place, we have the Movie 1 edition of Ichigo. In this case, he's a Heart SP character with the Hollow Kill ability. He's definitely a usable character in today's age, but definitely doesn't compare to some of the newer broken characters that we have received in the last 2 or so years. However, I do want to mention the fact that he did receive a pretty good upgrade last year with his newfound Resurrection. With this Resurrection, he did pick up an additional 16% more damage at full stamina, making him a very good link for any Heart SP character in the game. But alongside that, he also did get 2 new skills that fixed his shortcomings. In this case, picking up 20% Berserker, allowing him to do more damage with his strong attacks, and also 40% Devastation, making it so a sub-bomb can actually pack a punch. For a character that released over 4 or so years ago, he's aged quite well, and his new Resurrection definitely does make him better, and that's why he's number 14 on this current list. In 13th place, we have the character that completely changed Bleach Brave Souls. And that, of course, is the Fullbringer Bankai Ichigo. In this case, he was one of the most meta-defining characters upon release, which was over 6 years ago. Being the first character to have Frenzy +1 with a full-screen strong attack and a very powerful SA2 in 1 that still make him relevant even in today's meta. And thanks to his Resurrection, he picked up a few new skills that overall make him a better character, but of course not enough to handle some of the newer, more broken characters in the game. Having said that though, he still does have a great set of strong attacks, still an amazing character to play around with, and for the longest of times, he was the best technique holo killer in the game, and it took him a very long time before a character came out to replace him.
Muggets. In
12th place, we have the 4th anniversary version of Ichigo, in this case the final Getsuga Tensho version. A character that still holds up quite well, however keep in mind he has yet to receive his Resurrection, and his Resurrection is currently scheduled to potentially happen next month, so assuming he does get some good skills here, it very well could knock him up on this list. Having said that though, the 4th anniversary of Ichigo is a hot holo killer with also no affiliation. He was one of the first few characters in the game to get 2 killers, and that overall increased his usability. His strong attacks still hold up quite well, having a 960 SA2 and also a full screen SA3. He's overall a pretty solid character, and at the time of his release was one of the better characters in the game, but unfortunately due to his lack of Havoc and also Berserker value, he can't really compete with some of the higher characters on this list. In 11th place, we have 1000 Year Blood War Round 4 Ichigo. In this case, only going above Mugetsu, mainly due to his most recent Resurrection. This character, for starters, he is a hot super killer with a really cool transformation SA2. Upon using that SA2, you can transform it into his Honor Salvation form, in which all of the magnifications on his strong attacks will be increased by 20%, but most importantly, with his newfound Resurrection, he will be boosting your team's attack, focus, and defense stat by 43%. That's really good. It increases his damage output and also your team's by quite a lot. The booster boost SA2 is very relevant in Guild Quest content, and this allows him to be used in essentially any Guild Quest team if you really want to, just for that boost aspect alone. As a team supporter, he holds up very well now with this newfound resurrection. However, in damage output and also range, he definitely is lacking compared to some of the newer characters, and that's why his resurrection was a tad bit controversial. Some people wanted him to get the Havoc and also the Berserker, but instead he only picked up the booster skill. I personally thought it was a really good upgrade, and it allowed him to go up in this list, and personally I still use him to this day in Guild Quest content, and it mainly came down to his resurrection.
Bankai. Tensa Zangetsu.
In 10th place, we have Bankai Ichigo, who originally, when we made this video 3 years ago, was the #1 character. Since then, they have released plenty of Ichigos, all better than this particular character, but he still holds up exceptionally well, having access to a great set of strong attacks, a pretty decent damage output, but most importantly, what makes his character really unique is that he does have a transformation soul bomb, and unfortunately being the last kind of transformation soul bombs in the entire game. But upon using his soul bomb, you do activate your Bankai with a really cool animation, and activating his Bankai does allow you to reset all your strong attacks, and of course also do more damage since your magnifications also do get increased. His ability to spam out strong attacks while also doing a respectable amount of damage was the reason why he was #1 3 years ago, and currently is only sitting at #10, mainly due to once more lacking the range, lacking the damage that some of these other newer characters do have.
Bankai. Tensa Zangetsu.
In 9th place, and this one's a very weird one, we have the same character, but this time a tad bit different. For the beginner challenges last year, we did get a new iteration of Bankai Ichigo. They play the exact same, they have the exact same visuals, the only difference is that this character has different skills. And those different skills, in my opinion, overall make him a better character. And essentially the only difference here is that for starters, he is a Hearts Holo Killer, which at the time of this character's release was still actually really good considering that we didn't have that many great options. He's easily max transcendable, and he was also given the extra bit of survivability with a self-heal every time you enter the map, but also weakened defense. One of the main things about this Ichigo is the fact that he can use his soul bomb to do more damage. By using his soul bomb, you're transforming and therefore getting all your strong attacks back. And this pairs really well with the weakened defense skill, since once you do use your soul bomb, if there's any enemy alive or if there's a boss alive, their defense will be weakened by 30%, and now you're doing even more damage to them. These two overall characters were very similar. Only difference, of course, is 2 skills, but it's those 2 skills that make him more valuable and better in my opinion, and that's why he's currently ranked #9.
使いたくはなかったが仕方ねえ。見えるか。すべてを焼き尽くすこの光が。
In 8th place, we have the Spirit Society version of Ichigo. In this case, he is a speed holo killer, and mainly only wants to be used against power attribute holos. And the reason for that is because he does have a Frenzy +2 skill with an increased chance to inflict stat elements. The stat element that he can apply is weakening, so when you are going against holos, he's actually really good for just damage output since you're constantly applying the weakening, and Frenzy +2 in of itself is also still really good. At the time of this character's release, he was also one of the few characters in the game to even get Frenzy +2. This Ichigo overall just has a lot of great skills going for him, and he can even heal your team by 20% every time you enter the map. Unfortunately, it's the strong attacks that kind of bring him down just a tad bit, and unfortunately, as of right now, his only usability is when you are going against power attribute holos. In 7th place, we have the New Year's version of Ichigo. Now, this character is one of our newest characters on the list, unfortunately held back by being a mid-month character. And by that, he wasn't given Havoc +20%, but that still doesn't stop him from being a really solid and very powerful mid-month character, all things considered. Being a speed super killer, with a good set of strong attacks, weakening on every single attack, including his soul bomb, and that's important to understand because he also does have weakened defense. This character is also a link slot farmer, and ideally you do want to use him in epic raid content. He is best looked at as an epic raid character, and that's where he really starts to excel in. Since his someone can apply weakened defense and also weakening, you can stack that with a bonus ability, allowing your entire team to do 60% more damage with the double weakened defense, and then also an additional 50% more damage with the weakening. His Berserker value is great, he can buff your team, and he also does have Marauder, which is very rare for mid-month characters to get. That means you can use him in multiple weeks of guild quests and also be really good in Senkamon and also extreme co-op type of content. Overall, just a very solid Ichigo held back by being a mid-month character.
俺にできるのは 全ての力をこの斬撃に込めることだけだ。
In 6th place, we have one of the more iconic characters in the game, that being 5th Anniversary Ichigo. The first set of anniversary characters that were really meta-defining and completely changed the game for the best. In his case, he is a power hollow Aaroniero killer, having access to 2 great killers that over increases usability. With a great set of strong attacks, a 960 distant AoE SA2, and of course a charged strong attack 3 that if you charge up fully, is able to do a ridiculous amount of damage. At the time of his release, he was one of the few characters in the game to have a 60% berserker with also weakening on every single attack. That, for the time, was almost unheard of. This character is now quickly approaching 3 years old, but is still a very powerful character, still fun to play with, and still one of the better power characters in the game.
Yeah, 覚悟はいいか。行くぜ！決意転生！
In 5th place, we have a character that came out 6 months later, in this case, the 1000-year Blood or 10 years later version of Ichigo, a character we never thought we'd see in this game, especially as early as we did. In his case, he is a character that kind of represents the old meta, especially one that was at the end of 2020. Having access to the best strong attack kit in the game at the time, a beam SA1, a distant AoE SA2 with a boost effect which at the time was unheard of, and also a full screen strong attack 3. A 60% berserker, 2 killers to Soriba and also Captain. This allowed him to be the best character in the game at the time of his release. The character, in my opinion, did get better with age, since he was able to be used in arena content to counter someone like 6th Anniversary Aizen, and also surprised he became a meta character in Brave Battle content. Nowadays, while you can use him anywhere you want to, his mainstay is going to be in the Soriba and Captain Killer Guild Quest, and that once more mainly comes down to his SA2. Having a wide AoE with the boost effect allows him to use the SA2 right away, and that makes it really good for syncing purposes if you're trying to go for a very fast clear time. He's one of the few characters that I still use actively on this list, and still my most used character in arena content.
よく見とけ。これが俺の力だ。
In 4th place, we have ICHIGO, a very special release as he was a remake of a 2nd Anniversary character, the 1st Anniversary character in the entire game, but this character was also released alongside a physical art book that you could also purchase. So the hype surrounding this character was very high, and this character didn't disappoint. Even to this day, is a character that I still see myself actively using. The reason for that is because once more he does come with 2 killers, that being Soriba and also no affiliation. 2 useful killers that over increases usability. He had a great set of strong attacks, a vacuum SA1, distant AoE SA2, and a full screen SA3. All with great radius thanks to his Havoc skill, and he could also apply weakening every attack. With a 60% berserker, at the time that was still really good in this game, but he also did have weakening as Soul Bomb with the bombardment skill, and that allowed him, assuming you had this character duped out, to be used in multiple weeks of Guild Quest as a Guild Quest nuker. One of the first of their kinds. He took over Guild Quests, he took over everyone's technique team, he was the most used and best technique character for a very long time, and still holds up really well.
どんな力だっていい。全部使って俺が守る。
In 3rd place, we have a character that is soon about to reach 1 year old, that being its 7th Anniversary Ichigo. A character that is currently carrying the mind attribute, but definitely not for long. In this case, he has a great damage output with a Frenzy +1, high berserker value, and when you do inflict a stat element, you do get an 80% stat boost to your spiritual pressure stat. With an amazing SA2 and also SA3, there's a reason why this character was one of the best at the time of this release. What also made this character good was the fact that he can also apply weakening and also paralysis, a very powerful combo, especially because he did have Innovator, where every 5 seconds you have a chance to inflict stat elements on any given enemy on the map. This was quite toxic in arena content, but also allowed it to easily proc the SP boost. And since he was also given bombardment with weakening on the Soul Bomb, this character was also able to be used, like ICHIGO, as a Guild Quest nuker, although this time significantly more powerful thanks to his 80% SP boost when you do inflict the stat element. Still to this day, one of the best nukers and one of the must-have nukers for the ranged, melee, Soriba, and also Aaroniero Guild Quests. While there is still a lot of negative reception about this character, mainly due to his SA1 not being as good, and that unfortunately does hurt him a tad bit, the things this character can do, the content which he can clear is still great, and that's why he's currently number 3 on our list.
死神だけじゃねえ。ホローでもねえ。俺にはまだ使える力がある。
In In second place, and this was a tough one, we have the Quincy remake version of Ichigo. While Quincy Ichigo wasn't the most exciting character upon release given the fact that he had lackluster skills and strong attacks, this version definitely made up for it. For starters, once more another character with 2 killers, this time being hollow and also human, overall increasing his usability in multiple types of content. But what makes this character really special is the damage output. With Frenzy plus 2, and when you do inflict a stat element, which keep in mind he can apply weakening and also drain, one of the best combinations in the entire game, you also do get an 80% stat boost to your spiritual pressure stat, therefore making him the first character in the game to have Frenzy plus 2 with the SP boost. To go alongside that, however, he does have an increased chance to inflict stat elements against any speed enemy, and that overall makes so you're constantly healing yourself back up to full stamina, constantly getting the SP boost back once it does go, and of course also doing more damage since you are also applying weakening. This character is great, is used everywhere, right now currently the best technique character in the game, and this character also saw some very unique usage in Limit Breaker quests, as he was the best character for slot number 1, but in that particular mode we saw how good a unique skill that Ichigo does have, where every time you move into another map, you reduce your strong attack cooldown by 20%. That's really good, and that allows your strong attacks to come back faster, and it's for those reasons his high damage output, high survivability, and usability on why he has made the number 2 list.
安心しろ助けに来たぜ
And in first place, as our best Ichigo in the entire game, of course we have the 1000 Year Blood War Round 16 version of Ichigo. A special release for the return of the 1000 Year Blood War anime, this character was absolutely broken. And it's kind of funny, upon initial reactions to the character's gameplay, there was a lot of disappointment. But once we saw the character's full strong attack kit and also skills, we were absolutely blown away. For starters, when it comes to strong attacks, he has the best strong attack kit in the game. A Beam SA1, a 1000 AoE SA2 around him, and a full screen strong attack 3. This character can't inflict any star zones, which usually would be a bad thing, however he was given for the first time 100% more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment. So constantly, assuming if you're playing by yourself, you always have your max damage potential, and that doesn't even begin to consider the fact that he also was given Frenzy plus 2. This combination is absolutely crazy, and it allows him to basically one-shot any enemy you go against. At the same time, he was also given Pierce Iron Skin with Guard Break, so he completely made a somewhat difficult quest, that being Inheritance Trials, and made it super trivial. This character doesn't even care about Killer, but he was given 2 good ones, that being Aronka and also No Affiliation. To go alongside that, the character is also really good in Gale Quest content, pairing well with 1000 Year Blood War Byakuya, but also could be a really good lead himself. He gets even better in Arena since he does pick up Frenzy plus 3, you can use him in any scroll quest since he can read all affiliation dodges, and the character itself is also immune to star elements and he can share that to the entire team. Speaking of his team, he can also heal them by 20% every time you move into another map. There's overall just so many great things you can say about this character. He's the perfect character, there's almost nothing bad about him. Constantly inflicting insane amounts of damage, gets better in Arena, is great in guild quests, is one of the best hard characters to go in any inheritance trials regardless of the killer, you can even farm scrolls of him, and he's supporting the team. There's nothing this character doesn't do, and it's great they did this all for the return of the anime. So overall, lads, there you have it, the top 15 best ICHIGO KUROSAKIs in the entire game. There's overall a lot of great ICHIGO options. If you are an ICHIGO fan, you have a plethora of characters to play around with, and even some of the characters that didn't make this list are still perfectly playable. There's a lot of ICHIGO characters in this game if you aren't already aware. I think at this point we're pushing 30. But like I said at the start of the video, I'm sure this video might be a tad bit outdated after a week's time, because I'm sure whether it's part 1 or part 2, we are about to get a new and super OP version of ICHIGO. It's almost the anniversary standards. Regardless if that does or doesn't happen though, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Happy birthday ICHIGO, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.